everyone. Today is Wednesday, and this is the last of the logs that we have at the moment. We should be getting some more soon, but we have 5 logs here, and they are supposed to be 16 feet long. I can see some are longer than others, and I haven't measured them all. But we needed some 16 footers for a special project. So today we're going to try to cut as many of these as we can. We need some 10 by 10s, some 6 by 10s, and some 4 by 6s. 6 by 4s. 4 by 6s. I think that's the size anyway. I know we need 10 by 10s and 6 by 10s, and then I'm pretty sure the rest of them we need 4 by 6s. And I have no idea how many of the 4 by 6s we need. We need quite a few. But we need 3 10 by 10s and 2 6 by 10s. So that's what we're going to work on first, is to try to get those out of the ones that are 16 feet. It's going to be a little bit of a process to get these pulled over to the mill because they're heavy, they're long, and the mill only does 16 feet, so we have to get them on there just right. But then we have one other log that we can use to make either siding or flooring for the barn, but it's a little bit too big for the mill, so we're holding off on that one. We need to get these out of the way because this is where our logs get dropped when they bring them. So we're gonna try to pull all of these out and get them milled up. Okay, well, things did not go as planned. The truck is not strong enough to pull those logs out of the creek, so we had to get my Jeep running. Battery was totally dead, and there was a wire that was undone on the fuel pump, so I had to get underneath and fix the wire on the fuel pump, change the battery out. We got it running. Remember, my Jeep does not run well. I did look into getting a timing chain package, which comes with all you need to fix it. So we will be doing that soon. We'll change out the timing chain and see if that fixes the problem. We never did figure out what was wrong with the Jeep, so we'll do that soon. But for now, it will pull the logs out of the creek with no problem because my Jeep has 4-wheel drive, and Eddie's truck only has 2-wheel drive. And no matter what he did, that truck would not pull it out. My Jeep just walks right away with it. So I would love to have my Jeep back again. But anyway, so we got a log over here. We need to cut it down to exactly 16 feet. That's as long as we can get on the mill. And then we're gonna get it on the mill and cut a 10 by 10, I hope.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Was that heavy?
No.
So this is a 10 by 10 and it cost us, what, an hour or two in labor? Let me show you what a 10 by 10 by 16 would cost if we bought it. So we have a 10 by 10 by 16 foot, $293. So that's why we're milling. If we had to buy this one 10 by 10, we could buy a whole box of blades. We could probably buy a box and a half of blades for what it would cost us to buy this one 10 by 10. Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday and it is evening. It's actually dinner time, but I just want to let you guys know that we didn't forget about you today, but we didn't do a whole lot. What we did was, when we woke up this morning, we decided to try to work on the truck. The truck has a misfire in it, and it has recently started to stall out when you stop at a stoplight. So we don't want to just start throwing parts at it. What we did do was we took off the EGR valve and cleaned it. We took off the PCV valve, cleaned it the best we could. We cleaned the mass airflow sensor. We put in a new fuel filter, and we just finished cleaning the fuel injectors. We haven't started it yet. We're going to do that right now and see if anything we did made a difference. I highly doubt it, but think positive. It's just our luck. We did have the codes read on it. We went down to the parts store and they read the codes, and one of the codes was mass airflow sensor. The other one just said it had a misfire. The last time we had the codes read, it said it was running lean. So we still have the possibility of O2 sensors, but there are 4 of them in this, or on this. I did check all the wires to the O2 sensors and they looked very good. Now, when we took off the fuel filter, or when I took it off, I had gas pour all over me, but the gas that was in the filter was very black. Looked like it had some very fine sand or something in it. That's why we decided we better clean the fuel injectors. And I realized that that stuff is still in the gas tank. We're gonna have to drain the gas tank and clean it out and all that. But with the price of gas right now, we can't afford to do that. So let's just hope that something we did made a little bit of difference, because we need one good running vehicle. But let's see what happens. All right, fire it up. Well, as you can hear, if you know anything about vehicles, it did not fix the problem. So if any of you guys out there are mechanics, whether you're a trained mechanic or just a mechanic in your backyard for the last 20 years, if you have any ideas, not just throwing parts on it, but something we can actually check, clean, test, something, please let us know. We really need one. Wow, getting windy. Anyways, we need one vehicle that's running very well, and this isn't it. Now my Jeep, we have decided to take off the throttle body and clean it and check the idle air control valve and clean all of that up, just because all that takes is time and it doesn't cost anything. There's a lot going on with my Jeep, so that's what we're going to try over there. But for now, we really want to get this truck running. But we got a storm brewing right behind us. It's getting windy, so we're going to go fix some dinner. Well, this is a success. Miss Brown started out with 5 chicks, and there was the 2 eggs that hadn't hatched. So I put the 2 in the incubator, or in the hatcher, Now, if you remember correctly, one of the eggs had ants coming out of it, so I quickly took the chick out of the egg and put it in the hatcher, and then the other egg hadn't pipped yet. Well, one of these white ones are the ones that had the ants coming out of the egg. So I let it dry off for a day in the incubator, and then I gave it to Miss Brown. And then the little itty bitty brown one, or black one, that is under her tail right now, I put with her last night. That was the one that hadn't pipped. So it's 4 or 5 days younger than the rest. And I put it in here last night as she was setting for the night. I put him underneath her. And as you can see, he survived the night. He knows to stay with her. There he is. He's the white-faced one there by her tail. The one with the white head. So she now has all of her chicks. And she is being a really good mom. So that was a success. I didn't want to end up with 2 chicks that I had to take care of. So I gave them to Miss Brown, and they have taken to her just like they were born underneath her. So that's a great success. Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, and I will be mowing again today. I have a lot to mow. I have a lot of birds waiting on me to feed. But I wanted to come out and check on that chick because I had put it in here, probably about 6 o'clock last night. I brought it in, and probably within 5 minutes she sat down. So I made sure he went underneath her, and then I left him for the night. So I was quite happy to see that he's still alive this morning, and he's walking around. He's walking around with the rest of them. Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday and we're in the kitchen. One problem with growing a big garden is you end up with a ton of produce that you need to take care of. Now, my problem is trying to find time to take care of it while also building the barn and trying to get some other projects done. Well, today is Saturday, and every Saturday we go up to the garden and we harvest our cucumbers and beans, peppers, things like that, and we take them around to all of our neighbors, and we just deliver all of our extra produce that we don't want, and because I like to share. So what the neighbors don't take, I'm left with, and I need to find things to do with it. And I have this great big pot of cucumbers here, and I am going to make some bread and butter pickles. And I got to tell you, I found this recipe, and it is the best tasting bread and butter pickles ever. I mean, so much better than store-bought. And I delivered a jar to each one of my neighbors a couple of weeks ago. When I delivered cucumbers and eggs and stuff to them, I also gave them a jar of bread and butter pickles, and everybody is loving them. So if you like bread and butter pickles, you've got to try this recipe. And if you don't love these pickles, let me know why, because these are just fabulous. But the first thing I need to do is slice up all of these cucumbers. Okay, for every 15 cups of sliced cucumbers, we're going to put in 1/4 cup of coarse salt. I use coarse kosher salt. So we're just going to add in, like I said, for every 15 cups, now this is a 15 cups here, we're going to add 1/4 cup of the coarse salt. We're going to mix it up. Try to make sure there's some salt on all the cucumbers. And then we're just going to throw a little bit of ice on top. So I have this big measuring cup, I think it's like 12 cups, and I have it full of ice, which might be too much. It doesn't really matter too much. We're just gonna keep the cucumbers cold. So, yeah, that's plenty. So we're just gonna throw in some ice on top. And that's gonna keep the cucumbers cold. And we're gonna let them sit in the ice and the salt for a couple of hours. Now I have done this where I only let it set for 30-45 minutes and they still come out fine. I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm just going by the recipe. The recipe says let it set for 3 hours. Now I have some more sliced up cucumbers here. So I'm gonna measure out some more, put them in there, add more salt and more ice. But I wanted to show you what you do per 15 cups of sliced cucumbers. So I'm gonna get all mine in there. I'm gonna let them sit for probably an hour or two. I'm not gonna wait the 3 hours, I never do. And then we'll come back and see what we do next. Okay, so I'm not sure how long it's been because I've been making zucchini bread while I was waiting on these cucumbers, but it's been long enough. So what we're gonna do with these cucumbers now is we're gonna drain them, we're gonna rinse them, and we're gonna drain them again. Okay, I have all the cucumbers drained, rinsed, drained again, and I have this big pot on the stove, and we're gonna start adding some stuff to it. Okay, so for each 15 cups of cucumbers that you had, we want 2.5 cups of vinegar. Now I made 3. I'm making a triple recipe, so I need 7.5 cups. So there's 1, 2, 3.5. Alright, sorry guys, it's really hard for me to cook and measure stuff out and know where the camera's aiming. So for each batch, each 15 cups of cucumbers, you want 2.5 cups of apple cider vinegar. And then you also want 2.5 cups of sugar. I have 7.5 cups of sugar because I'm doing a triple batch. Okay, now give me just a minute because the timer went off for my zucchini bread, so I need to get that out of the oven. Okay, zucchini bread is out of the oven, and I still have all this stuff out to make more because I wanted to make a whole bunch of them tonight, but I'm running out of room in this kitchen. Alright, so back to where we were. We have the apple cider vinegar and we have the sugar in the pot. Now we're going to add turmeric. For each batch you need 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric. Half a teaspoon of celery seed. Okay, and that was celery seed. Now we're going to do a tablespoon of mustard seed per batch. Okay, and that's it. That's all we need. Now we're going to mix this up. And we're going to turn the heat on. That helps. I'm going to put the heat on about a medium. It's hard to believe that that little bit of liquid in there, I mean, it's only maybe 2 inches deep. It's hard to believe that that little bit of liquid is going to cover all of those cucumbers. I mean, that's a big pot, and it's filled 3/4 of the way up. So if you think you don't have enough liquid, don't worry, you do. Okay, so we're just gonna wait a few minutes and we're gonna let the sugar dissolve. I'm gonna keep stirring it. Then what we're going to do is we're gonna put the rinsed and drained cucumbers into the pot. Now, they're not gonna be covered by the liquid, don't worry. As they're heating up, you want to stir the cucumbers. Just continually stir them to make sure they're all getting in those juices. The cucumbers are going to cook down a little bit, and then they will be covered by the liquid. So you don't have to can these pickles. You can put them right in the refrigerator. You can eat them warm if you want to. I have, because I wanted to check the taste before I bothered canning them all up. But I am going to can these because this is going to be a lot. So I'm going to get my water bath canning pot ready. And all we're going to do is we're just going to water bath them for 10 minutes. Okay, I have my canning pot going with 9 pint jars in it. The sugar is all dissolved. So now I'm going to pour my cucumbers in here. I don't want to just pour it because there's still some water in it. It's a little bit heavy though. I think I'm going to do it this way. Okay, you can see the liquid does not cover them, but we're going to stir it and try to get them all coated in that brine. And they will cook down as they heat up. Okay, so we're just gonna let these heat up. I have it on 6, about a medium, and once they're almost to a boil, don't let them boil, but once they're almost to a boil, then they're done. Then we're gonna take them off and put them in the jars. It's that simple. Okay, so my pickles are done. As you can see, they are now pretty much covered with the brine. And if you're like me, you would read that recipe, which I would love to share with you, but it was actually a written recipe, so I don't have any way of sharing it. But I will write it down in the description. But I read the recipe and it said to bring it almost to a boil, but do not let it boil. And if you're anything like me, you're like, well, how do I do that? How do I know before it's gonna boil? I use my thermometer. So boiling is 212. I bring it up to about 204, 205. Then I shut it off. So I have my jars ready here, and I'm going to load all the pickles into said jars. So we're just gonna load up all these jars. We're gonna fill them to a 1/2 inch from the top. When they stick out, we're just gonna push them down in there. Load some more in there. So I ran a butter knife down the edges of the jar to make sure all the air bubbles were out, and then I topped it up with some brine. And now I'm going to put the lids on and water bath it. If you decide to try this recipe, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear how it came out for you, and I will see you guys next week.